All right, given the fact that this is the last home weekend, it's just absolutely hard to believe the season's gone by this quickly. The focus is going to be on, trying to get a couple of wins here at home. I like the way we've been practicing. Really like the way the young guys are getting involved and contributing. I'm going to be looking to get them some more minutes this week and next week before we get to the tournament. And then finally, it's just going to be so hard for all of us to say goodbye to Joe here at Gill Coliseum. That's going to be a big emotional day on Saturday. And with that, I'll open it up for questions. Well, you guys got a game after this or something? Yeah.
Came straight from Dixon.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good.
Speaking of games, what are you guys going to do to avoid the kind of shooting troubles you had against Washington?
I'm right now. I'm looking at Washington as like a anomaly. I thought we've been playing really well up until that part, and up until that game. And I said after the game, we just felt like we were out of sorts, and that just might be a function. It felt like it was a function of us spending the so much time on the road. I mean, we went right from Washington State right to Seattle, and so I think that might have been the case. But our offense hasn't been our problem. I think it's been pretty fluid and pretty guys have been getting open shots. They've been making open shots. I'm not gonna make any drastic changes. I'm just gonna make sure that we get up enough shots this week before the game on Thursday.
Can you elaborate a little bit on how you're going to get the young guys into the game?
Yeah, well, I think I'm just going to put them in earlier in the game, and with respect to how they get in, it'll just be based on situations. I'll see how the game is going, but they've been practicing really well. When they get in, they do a good job, and I want to see how they do in some real crunch time minutes early on.
Is that to try and get them more experience for looking at the next season?
Well, it's both the games that we have left as well as next season. We still have a lot to play for it. The Pac-12 tournament's coming up, but I just want to make sure that I get them in and this time of the season, because now they're sort of not freshmen anymore. They've been around, they've had enough practices, they've watched enough, they've seen enough, and now I want to make sure they play enough.
Is it all four freshmen, or is there anyone in particular?
No, all four guys. I want to see all four of them in there, and I wouldn't be predisposed to putting them all in together too. So, but we'll see.
Seemed like Charlie Barton's been more aggressive recently. What changed? What's clicking for him?
I think it's just having the amount of minutes under his belt and feeling more comfortable being out there. He's always felt like he's capable of playing. Now I think he's starting to believe he is supposed to be out there, and he's acting like the guy who's running this team. And from sort of from a point guard standpoint, so I'm sure it's just a comfort level that's making him a little bit more aggressive. And when you make a couple of shots here and there, you start to feel a little bit good about your game and about yourself. So you want to take some more. So I'm sure that's had something to do with it as well.
Have you ever caught yourself saying like, "Dang, is that Charlie doing that?"
No, I feel good about him when he's in there, and it's not a surprise. It's just, we still are in need of some on the floor leadership, and we'll take it from wherever we can get. So it's been good to see him have some success from that standpoint.
With Cal coming to town this weekend, there's a little bit of controversy with Mike Montgomery shoving Alan Crabb and all that. I don't know if you've been seeing anything about that, but could you comment on that from a coach's perspective?
There's really not a lot to comment on. I thought I saw what happened. I heard what he commented, what he said. There's not too much more to say after that. I mean, I'm sure he's disappointed that all of that's happened, and I think what he said was good.
Have you ever been in a situation where you've gotten that heated, or?
No.
Is it your coaching philosophy though that hey, you never touch a player? It's just not in my repertoire, but I'm not saying that you can't get excited enough to be in a situation where that could happen. Just hasn't happened to me, and I really doubt if it would.
Obviously, you guys played Stanford a couple weeks ago, but last time they were here, it was that crazy triple overtime game. How much do you guys remember that game now, having them come back in and almost maybe want to do a little bit of avenge that?
Yeah, almost none, Eric. I think that everybody's focused on what we're doing now and trying to beat them from the game that we should have beaten them the last time. I thought we played really well, except for a couple of minutes at the end there, which has kind of been our swan song all season long. But, I think last year's quadruple overtime games, not that much in our sights. I thought last year, after the 2 games afterwards, we sort of said, that was the end of that.
Can you talk a little bit about Ahmad Stark's game this year? And obviously he's hitting a number of threes and already has the OSU record now. Is that something you envisioned when you recruited him? I mean, he's not your typical point guard, obviously.
No. Ahmad was always a scoring guy, a scoring guard when he got here, and we've asked him to play more point, but we need him to make shots. And so I'll start with regard to the record. When I recruit players, I never think about anything like that. We were so focused on trying to win games, as is Ahmad. It was pretty interesting. I congratulated him yesterday at practice because I didn't get a chance to even think about that was a possibility because you're so focused on game plan and the other team and trying to win the game. And he didn't even know until a couple of games ago when Sean let him know that it was getting close. And I think that's just that's sort of a tribute to the kind of person he is. He's really not able to enjoy this achievement because we aren't playing well right now. But having said that, it's a wonderful achievement. And from what I understand, the guy who held the record is going to be at our game this weekend in order to congratulate him. So I think that's always a nice thing when you can do that. But we're absolutely thrilled that we have Ahmad for another year. I mean, we're gonna need him next year and need his scoring, and we need Ahmad to sort of be more consistent. I think he's been more up and down this year, but I think that's a function of people realizing that he's such a good scorer that they're really starting to game plan against him. So we have to do some things to help him get easier shots.
Will this senior day with Joe carry any extra significance for you because it's a player that you recruited?
Well, no disrespect to in any of the other senior days because we've had senior days with guys that we've inherited, and they were kids who were guys who were very meaningful to this program. And then last year we had Kevin McShane, who was a very emotional senior day because he was the first sort of 4-year guy, and now with Joe being the first recruit, I'm sure it's going to be emotional. He's meant so much to this program, both on and off the court. I mean, he's represented us on the court fantastically, but off the court, he has been just a tremendous ambassador for himself, his family, for our program. He does so much in the community with young kids, with regular students on campus, and with just people in the community who aren't kids. And he's going to be sorely missed by everyone. So it'll be a tough day, but we still have a basketball game to play.
Is there something you can pinpoint about him that you'll miss the most?
Oh man, assists, rebounds. Now he's scoring, and he's actually sort of brightened up practice here with the loss of Angus and Daniel Gomez. He's been sort of kind of inherited the co-captain spot and done a real nice job with that.
Is he playing perhaps his best basketball right now?
Probably. He probably is, yeah. I mean, when you consider everything in total, he's probably playing his best basketball right now.
He flirts with triple doubles the last several weeks.
Yeah, it's just, it's so hard to kind of, because of the way Joe is, it's hard for him to get excited because we aren't winning as many games as we could be winning, but we wouldn't be in these games. I mean, we're in absolutely every single game, and a big reason for that is Joe. I mean, he's playing way more minutes than we expected him to play. He's hurting every day, but he's practicing every day. So, he's part of the reason that these young guys are playing better, because he's been a great mentor both on and off the court to them, but especially on the court at practice.
Being in every game and kind of continuing to get better, has that made the season kind of gone by faster and now that it's the last home?
Phil, I know I don't want to sound patronizing, but that's a fantastic point, because, we were just commenting on that as a staff, how fast the season's gone by. And usually when the season goes by this fast, it's because you're having a great season. And we're not having a great season, but it's gone by really fast because each game we play, we're like, God, we could win this game. And I think that's made it go by really fast, and you feel the clock ticking. And but I know it sounds weird, but I feel good about where we are. I think that we're still working hard at practice. We had a fantastic practice yesterday, and we had good practices last week when we were on the road. And I think part of that is because these guys feel like they're just right there. They're a couple of plays from being pretty darn good in a league where it feels like there's a lot of parity.
Given that parity, not just in the league, but amongst all of college basketball earlier this year, do you sense, with these 5 games left, a sense of the guys embracing maybe that underdog role now that the season hasn't gone?
I think so. I think actually I don't even think it's an underdog role. I think it's I think these guys are just trying to find a way to be consistent at the end of the game, and they think they can go on a roll and not be underdogs and be the team that nobody wants to play. And that's pretty admirable given what we've been through this season. So I'm very excited about that, and I'm very excited for the guys with their attitude.
Going back to Joe, have you had a player that's supported the community really as much as him? Like the amount of high school games he goes to,
Yeah.
the Boys and Girls Club work that he does?
Probably not. I mean, I've had players who have been connected to the community for various reasons. There have been guys who are from the community, so they do more. There have been guys who are just naturally philanthropic with their time. But Joe has by far been the most natural at just being out in the public. He's very consistent. He is very genuine. It's in his nature, and that's terrific to see. It shows a lot of character. It shows a lot of integrity, and it is not gratuitous whatsoever. So it really is well. It's well appreciated by me and by the athletic department, but I'm sure by the entire university.
I think that's helped recruit some fans for you guys because he's going to these.
Oh yeah, sure.
I
I think that has helped recruit fans, but I think more so his play and our play has helped recruit more fans. He's just an exciting player to watch, and now that we've got him making the exciting pass without the turnovers that come along with him when he first got here, it's been great to have him on the court for long periods of time. It just makes for good basketball.
What did you think of the between the legs pass and Wazoo? Was that something you'd seen in practice, or were you?
I've seen just about every pass Joe's tried to attempt, and as I said, when Joe first got here, that pass would have gone out of bounds or would have hit somebody's leg, and now he only throws that pass if he can complete that pass, and so it doesn't surprise me anymore. I know it surprises the fan. Guys are always aware of when Joe has the ball, it could be coming from anywhere to any place that's near your body, so they've gotten used to being prepared when he has the ball in his hands. No. It's interesting. It's like he's very creative, and really good players have an idea what they're going to do before they get it. I just don't want him to decide on the type of pass he's going to throw because it's a type of pass and not the right time for it. That's when you get a lot of turnovers. But his maturation from freshman year to now has been dynamic, and one of the biggest areas that I don't have any concerns with him is turnovers.
You mentioned the state of the pack right now. Have you been surprised how much parity there is, or that just every team is kind of vulnerable?
No, I thought this we were headed back in this kind of direction after last season. I mean, I saw a lot of signs last season of teams sort of getting back to normal, and when you think about how I don't know what the number is, but it seems like there are a lot of freshmen starting in our league and playing in our league this time around, and so that bodes well for the future too. No, I wasn't really surprised. I'm just surprised that we aren't more in the hunt, and but other than that, it's been good to see, and I'm excited for the conference. The conference tournament should be terrific.
You mentioned all the freshmen starting. Do you feel like that's just the state of college basketball now, that you get these freshmen for limited time?
I think that's way overblown, because when you think about the draft is only 60 guys anyway. So if all of them were one and done, that's 60 guys. I mean, I just think that the skill level of players comes in cycles, and sometimes you have really good freshman classes, and sometimes you don't have really deep freshman classes, and sometimes you have guys who can go to the pros early, and sometimes you don't. So I just think that there are better basketball players. There are more good basketball players around.
But because so many freshmen are playing, maybe that's why things are so inconsistent. Maybe not just one dominant team.
That possibly could be. But then again, then it hurts the other argument that that everybody's so close. For example, we don't have any freshmen starting, but we also only have one senior graduating. So I'm not quite sure, but it just feels like our conference is just getting back to where we should be. We were so decimated in the past with the number of guys going pro that at some point it's got to stop because there's just too many young guys. But it's been really exciting to see so many games decided at the very end of the game. I mean, if that could help, if we had enough teams ranked, that would help us as a conference. It'd be more like the Big Ten, where you have a lot of ranked teams playing each other closely. I lost my train of thought, but that's.
Which teams impressed you the most that you played? I mean, you played all of them in Pac-12.
I think the guys at the top, Arizona, Oregon,
Colorado is a good team. I think Stanford and Cal are playing well now. I mean, if Stanford makes shots like they did against us in their other games, they'd be in first place. And then I think Cal's just getting their confidence now, and their post guys are starting to play well. They could arguably have the best backcourt in the conference. Did I say UCLA? UCLA is, I mean, you talk about freshmen. They've got some really good freshmen, and then they've got a great senior playmaker in Drew. I mean, you can just go down the line, and then you think about the teams who've beaten the other teams. I mean, Utah has been beating guys at home. I mean, even Washington State had a shot this weekend. So. Against Oregon, so it's been really interesting to see, and you don't have a time as a staff or a team to take a breather and say, oh, okay, well, we're playing X, that should be a win. You can't think that way at all this season.
We've talked about how attendance hasn't been necessarily very good this year at home, but 2 home games remaining. If you had to give the fans a recruiting pitch for why they should come this weekend, what would you say?
Well, aside from supporting their team, I would say, we still have stuff to play for. We're still battling for the conference tournament. And then, this is Joe Burton's last game. And if you like the way we play, the excitement of the way we play, come out and support Joe for his last 2 games.
Coach, when you talk about Stanford making shots in the last game, was that, when you look back and study that, is that what that was? Or was half a step slow rotating with the shooters? Or how did you see?
I saw various missed assignments, sort of a lack of defensive execution. So we're working on that this week, but it was very clear in the tape when you watch the tape. And then we had some opportunities. We generated quite a few opportunities with our defense that we didn't convert on. And I don't want to make an excuse that it was sort of hangover from playing a close game against Cal. I don't think that was it at all, because we had enough days to sort of put that aside. So, as I've been saying, sort of this whole press conference, we have had a chance to win every single one of these games, and you have to win them. You can't expect the other guys to give it to you. And that was very apparent watching the tape of that first Stanford game.
You talk about generating offense from your defense. The first half against Washington, you dominated a stretch of that game. Is that about as good as it's been in a stretch? I mean, the fast break opportunities, dunks, layups off the defense. And as a matter of fact, the last 2 games, I thought the first half of the Washington game and the beginning of the second half of the Washington State game was some of the best defense we played, and some of the most varied defense we played. I mean, we were good in each defense that we played for what might have been the longest period of time all season.
Coach, do you feel like you guys are getting close to peaking towards tournament time?
Well, it's with our record, it's hard to say, but it certainly feels like that from the time we spent together. I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, we've been together since our trip to Europe, and it feels like these guys all know their roles. They know what we need to do. They know what we're capable of doing. Now what we have to do is execute that for 40 minutes. And that's what I've been working at getting these guys to do. I think that from a physical standpoint, we're right at the right place. And then we just have to be at the right place emotionally in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Does Ahmad have a green light to shoot a 3 whenever he wants?
Yeah, I guess if you could say that I give guys the green light, I feel comfortable when Ahmad, Roberto, and Olaf shoot the ball. And I would love to feel that way about everybody. But those 3 guys, when they shoot, I feel like it's going in, no matter how many they've missed before they shoot again.
Is there anyone on this team that you feel like has the potential to eventually earn that trust or feeling?
Oh yeah. I think Charlie Barton with some work could be that type of guy. I think Langston Morris Walker could be that type of guy.
How close are they? Or
It's more of a putting the time in and making them. You have to make me feel that way in practice before I'll feel that way in a game, and you probably have to make me feel that way in practice for quite a while.
Hasn't Langston, he's come quite a ways this year with his shot.
Yeah, he's almost there, and it's solely due to the amount of work he puts in. Usually when you hear the ball bouncing upstairs, you go in there, and he's in there. It could be other guys in there, but he's probably in there with those guys.
And early this season, Eric Moreland was, the game winner in New York, and then a couple of shots.
He will never have the green light.
But I remember asking you, and you said, well,
He can make those shots, but he'd never have the green light. Never have the green light.
how about next year with House Cook? Is he kind of one of those guys that comes in and automatically gets that? I mean, how fair is his shooting?
It's hard for a freshman to automatically get it. I mean, we've had some pretty guys who are some pretty good freshmen, and it's just hard to earn that kind of confidence automatically. But I don't know. He's a very good shooter. Shoots the ball. He's shooting the ball really well in high school. He's a very hard worker, and he's a disciplined basketball player. So I won't say it's impossible, or I won't say that it's not impossible, but it's just hard to get that kind of confidence level. But we'll see.
As long as we're talking about certain guys, what are your thoughts on Devon Collier's season? I mean, has he made the strides that you were hoping for?
I don't think he made the strides he was hoping for this year, and it is interesting in this game, and you guys have, we here at Oregon State right now, we recruit guys who we think can be good, but there's a lot of player development that's needed, and that's on both sides. So you have to put enough of the time in. I think he's made some strides. I think it feels like he's making more foul shots than he did last year, but I'd have to look at exactly when and how he's shooting them. And his little mid-range shot's gotten a little better. But in the post, he's got to come up with some different moves now. The hard thing for lefties is that they get away with a lot for a long time because they're left-handed. And if at some point that catches up to you. And I think this season, he hasn't developed his right hand as much as he could have. But certainly from a strength standpoint and a stamina standpoint, he's better than he was last year.
Speaking of player development, one more question about Joe. Has he reached the potential that you saw back when you were recruiting him?
Oh yeah. I mean, Joe is playing like the guy we thought he could be when I saw him in high school, and we knew he was short, and I won't say undersized, but he's short to play the post. But his feet are so delicate that we figured that if he could ever sort of calm himself down, he'd be able to score like he's scoring. I mean, he's scoring on guys who are 7 feet tall. And the other thing that we saw, we saw the passing when he was in high school. I think that the only thing that he's not as good at, because he doesn't think he's good at, we do, is shooting the ball from outside. He's got a beautiful stroke. He just doesn't feel comfortable shooting the ball from more than 10 feet away. So if I had to point at something that hasn't developed as much, it would be that. But I think it has. It's just that he doesn't shoot that. And then finally, it is not a secret. When Joe came here, he wasn't the same Joe from an attitude standpoint that he is now. I mean, he has really matured as a person. And when you think about players who play for you and then going on and having productive lives off the court, you feel like, oh man, Joe's gonna make it, you know, and not that I didn't feel like he wasn't gonna make it, but you know, when you're young and you come in and you're playing basketball and that's all you do, there's a fork in the road. You could, from a maturity standpoint, not turn into one of those guys who'd be a productive citizen off the court. You know, he has just absolutely embraced the things we've taught. He has embraced the hard work ethic, and he's going to be a productive citizen. And that's the best part of his development.